Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, श्रीनाथ जी जय गोपालनाथ जी जय श्रीनाथ जी जय गोपालनाथ जी जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय प्रहलाद सिंह जय प्रहलाद सिंह जय प्रहलाद सिंह जय प्रहलाद सिंह प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद जी की ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ीय संप्रदाय आचार्य गुरुवर की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की all glories to the seven devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the seven devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the seven devotees Hare Krishna all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayodhiraye Shrinvanta Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridiyantasta Bhadrani Vidunoti Surutsatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So today we will be serving Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam in chronological order, canto number 3, and the chapter is 21, verse number 8. Kindly repeat after me. Tavat prasanno bhagavan pushkaraksha krite yuge darshyamasha tam shataha shabdam brahma dadaha vapuha tavat prasanno bhagavan pushkaraksha krite yuge darshyamasha tam shataha shabdam brahma dadat vapu tavat prasanno bhagavan puskaraksha krute yuge darshayam ashatam shataha Shabdam Brahma Dadad Vapuhu. Tavat Prasanno Bhagavan. Puskaraksha Krite Yuge. Darshayam Tattvatam Shataha. Shabdam Brahma Dadu Vapuhu. Tavat Prasanno Bhagavan. Pushkaraksha Krite Yuge. Darshayamasa tam shataha. Shabdam Brahma Dadad Vapuhu. Any Matajis? Tavat Prasanno Bhagavan. Puskaraksha Krite Yuge. Darshayamasa tam shataha. Shabdam Brahma Dadad Vapuhu. Tavat Prasanno Bhagavan. Puskaraksha Krite Yuge. Darshayamasa tam shataha. Shabdam Brahma Dadad Vapuhu. Translation, word to word meaning and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Kindly read Tavat. Then Prasannaha, being pleased. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pushkara Akshaha, lotus-eyed. Krite Yuge, in the Satya Yuga. Darshayam Asha, showed. Tam, to that Kardam Muni. Shataha, O Vidur. Shabdam, which is to be understood only through the Vedas. Brahma, the absolute truth. Dadat, exhibiting. Vapuha, his transcendental body. We can also repeat after me the translation, please. Then in the Satya Yuga, the lotus eye, Supreme Personality of Godhead, being pleased, showed himself to that Kardam Muni and displayed his transcendental form, which can be understood only through the Vedas. Purport. Here, 2 points are very significant. The first is that Kardam Muni attained success by yoga practice in the beginning of Satya Yuga, when people used to live for 100,000 years. Kardam Muni attained success, and the Lord, being pleased with him, showed him his form, which is not imaginary. Sometimes the impersonalists recommend that one can arbitrarily concentrate one's mind on some form he imagines or which pleases him. But here it is very clearly said that the form which the Lord showed to Kardam Muni by his divine grace is described in literature. Shabdam Brahma. The forms of the Lord are clearly indicated in the Vedic literature. Kardam Muni did not discover any imaginary form of God as alleged by rascals. He actually saw the eternal, blissful, and transcendental form of the Lord. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manoyavishtam स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान् वेदांश्च आराध्यो भगवान् ब्रजेश तनयस् तद्धाम वृन्दावनं रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधूवर्गेण तया कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवत पुराणयमलं प्रेम पुमार्थो महान् श्रीचैतन्य महाप्रभोर्मतैदं नायत्र आग्रह परः आजानुलम्बितो भुजौ कनकाय उदातो संकीर्तनै पितरो कमलायताक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरो युगधर्मपा वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणावतारो नवनीरदनिन्दितकान्तिधरं रससागरनागरभूपवरं शुभवङ्किमचारु शिखण्डशिखिं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं राधिका सरोदेन्दु निन्दिमुखमण्डली वन्द्ये श्रीपादपद्म वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्द्ये श्रीपादपद्म वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्द्ये श्रीपादपद्म वृषभानुनन्दिनी नमस्ते गिरिराजाय गोवर्धननामिने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय परमानन्ददायिने तव करकमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गां दालिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे कदाचित् कालिन्दी तटविपिन सङ्गीतदर्वो मुदा वीरिनारी कमलस्वाद मधुप रमा शंभु ब्रह्मा गणेशर्चितपादो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगो श्रीजीव गोपालको कृष्ण कीर्तन गान रतन परो प्रेमामृतांबो निधि धीरा धीर जन प्रिय करो निर्मत्सरो पूजितो वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगो श्रीजीव गोपालको नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. So that I will read the verse one more time. Then in the Satya Yuga, the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead, being pleased, showed himself to that Kardam Muni and displayed his transcendental form, which can be understood only through the Vedas. So this is a conversation that we find between Kardam Muni and Maitreya Rishi. And this is about the inquiries that Viduruji makes from a great personality, an acharya, inquiring, tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That's what the Bhagavad Gita instructs. With great humility, one should serve a devotee and ask questions. And somebody who is enlightened, who has seen the truth, can actually impart it to us. So that is the process that we follow, and not something whimsical that I can find God by myself. So he's asking so many wonderful questions about the creation, and we have come to this part where Maitreya Rishi is describing the appearances of the different Manus, the first one being Swayambhu Manu. So in the previous couple verses, it is mentioned that Kardam Muni satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his devotional service, very important. Although he was sat in meditation, And Kardam Muni and his wife Devuti Mata, they were both perfectionists in the Ashtanga Yoga system. But Ashtanga Yoga is not sufficient to obtain the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotion is needed. Vedesha durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto govindam adi purusham tamam vajami. Even if we study no matter exhaustive Vedas and we can get that scholarship, but durlabham, Krishna is durlabh, not easily obtained, but through devotional service it is possible. Krishna even says that in the Bhagavad Gita, bhaktyamam abhijanati. The only way, the best way to know me is through bhakti. So Kardam Muni, although being a very topmost yogi, a topmost yogi means one who actually engaged on the supreme form of the Lord in meditation. And he not only engaged in meditation, in devotional service, but he attained the perfection of yoga. So, what is the perfection of yoga? What does the word yoga mean? Yoga means to connect. If we translate from Sanskrit to simple English, means to connect. So, who do we connect to? Nowadays, people are so misled that they join all these so many exotic yoga clubs, they pay a lot of money, and they are taught all these different meditations based on Ashtanga Yoga. Of course, even there's no perfection. Like the Ashtanga Yoga that was propagated by Patanjali. He is the founder of Ashtanga Yoga. But people advertised and Prabhupada said that they're the cheaters and the cheated. So that's what's happening. And Prabhupada even sometimes simply used to say they're simply sitting and sleeping when they are simply trying to meditate. What are they meditating on? What are they connecting to? There has to be some. So at the end, Prabhupada says in this purport that some of them, these Mayavadis, they propagate that, you can whimsically meditate on anything you like and simply you will attain the highest. So that is not true. That has been rejected by the most intellectual class of people and the Vaishnavas. So after engaging himself for 10,000 years, he engaged himself. Long period. And Prabhupada is very specific in mentioning that at that time when Kardam Muni was present, it was Satya Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, the lifespan of all the people was on an average about 100,000 years. It is said that in the 4 yugas that we have, that is considered the Chatur Yuga, obtaining the realization in the time of Satya Yuga was Dhyato Vishnu, by meditating on Vishnu. And that's exactly what Kardam Muni did. And many other rishis, they meditated for 60,000 years because their lifespan was 100,000. Do we have that lifespan today? No, not possible. Tretayam yajato makhai. And then after Satyug came Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga, yajato makhai means there was fire sacrifices, yagyas. We all know that Lord Ramachandra appeared in Treta Yuga. And at that time, Vishwamitra Muni came to King Dashrath and said that we Brahmins are performing all these yagyas in the forest, but the demoniac personalities and the demons, they are coming there and they're desecrating our yagya by throwing blood and bones and skulls into it. So I need your 2 sons, Ram and Lakshman, and I will train them into warfare, military warfare. So King Dashrath said that, my dear Rishi, I am Dashrath. Dashrath means one who has strength of 10 chariots. Dasa means 10 and Ratha means chariots. And I am endowed and blessed with a lot of strength. And even I have a very huge army. Let me serve you. But he said, no, I'll just take your sons. So reluctantly, King Dashrath, because it was the order of a Vaishnava, of a Brahmana, he could not refuse. That was the spirit and that was the mentality of people in those days. Even when Harai Pandit, the father of Nityananda Prabhu, when Lakshmipati Tirtha came to his house, he said that I want your son so that I can, very young. And Nityanand Prabhu and Hadai Pandit said, yes, you can take him. So, like that, we find Giriraj Govardhan. When Pulatsya Muni came to his father, and he said that I'm coming from Banaras, Varanasi, and there is all plain. There is no mountains, and I really love this beautiful mountain. He's your son, Girirajji. Can you give him to me? And then the king of the mountains said, yes, you can take him, my dear Lord. Lord. So like this, he took Ram Lakshman, and they were very well trained, and they killed all the demons, and then the Brahmins were very satisfied. So at that time, how did the Brahmins and the subjects obtain perfection? Through Yajatam Makhai. Makham means when we perform the fire sacrifices. So in today's age, nor do we have that purity in this Brahmanas when they are pronouncing the mantras. Do we see any demigods come out of the fire sacrifice and accept our offering? No, because in Kali Yuga that purity is not there. And these yajnas, they go on for thousands and thousands of days at an end. Some of them are so complicated, and they day and night the head Brahmana with many Brahmanas encircling the yajna kunda, they perform these. And then not only that, they need a lot of items like grains and so many tons and tons of grains, because if these goes for hundreds and thousands of days, tons and tons of ghee is required. Does anyone have this kind of money or inclination in Kali Yuga to perform such yajnas? No. Even if you have to sit for 1 hour in a yajna, we become very restless. So the process changed from dhyan in Satya Yuga to fire sacrifices or yajna to please, and everything is to please Vishnu or to obtain Vishnu or Krishna. Even dhyan, meditation was to obtain, the ultimate goal was to obtain Krishna or Vishnu. And then came Dwapare Paricharyana. And then came the next yuga, which is Dwapar. And in Dwapar, maximum temple worship. Pious people, kings, they built temples all over Bharatvarsha. Bharatvarsha was just not the geographical location that we see today, which is India, the map. Bharatvarsha was this whole world, extending out to the different continents. Completely, it was all Bharatvarsha. And it was run by one emperor or a Chakravarti Raja. And they were all Rajarishis, great devotees of the Supreme Lord. Like King Dashrath, he was a Rajarishi and he was a Chakravarti king. King Lord Ramachandra, he was a Rajarishi and a Chakravarti king. The entire Bharatvarsha was under him. King Yudhishthir, and so on and so forth. So they were all, and all the little kingdoms that were there, they were all subservient to that king. And they would accept him as the supreme ruler. But the supreme ruler would not abuse. As a matter of fact, he would help them in every way to make sure that their kingdom, whatever they are running, is running smoothly. The grains, the food, the brahmanas, everybody was satisfied. That is the spirit of a Rajarishi. So then, Dwapare Paricharana, they built many temples, and then everybody would wake up early in the morning and go to the temple, just like we come here every morning for Mangal Arati. They would gather in the temple, all the people in that community, they would gather, from old to young to very small children. And they would then after that listen to Harikatha from a Vaishnava or an Acharya, like that. And then they would go to their daily duties, maybe at about 6:30 or 7 in the morning at sunrise. And then they would come and assemble in the temple again in the evening. So 3.5 hours in the morning program, 3 hours, 3.5 hours in the evening, 7 hours a day without fail. Most of the people in Dwapar Yuga were so pious that they came Dwapare Paricharyana. Do we have that time to come to the temple? It takes a lot to call people to the temple, to the morning programs, to the evening programs, to the festivals. We find today the churches, the mosques, the temples are practically empty. Prabhupada said that because this is Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, it is not possible where people are attracted to piety or spirituality. So, what is the process of our obtaining the self-realization or the highest is through Kalotad Hari Kirtanam, through the process of Hari Kirtan. And the best Hari Kirtan is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in Satya Yuga, Gardam Muni had a lifespan of 100,000. And then later on, when Treta came, the lifespan, you remove 1 0. So the average lifespan when Lord Ramachandra came was 10,000 years. Then in Dwapar, when Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he personally came, you remove 1 more 0. And the average lifespan at that time was 1,000 years. And then after Dwapar comes Kali Yuga. And now the average lifespan is not even close to 100, if we see. So they had that facility and they used the great intellectual class of people like Kardam Muni. They simply meditated. And Prabhupada mentions that when he meditated with the perfection of yoga, we find that Krishna displayed his transcendental form. Very, very important word here. And that is why one of the things that, was very, very amazing that Prabhupada coined some phrases in English. Prior to coming to ISKCON, I was studying many different philosophies, reading different religions. Personally, I went to a convent school run by the Jesuits, and our principals and vice principal and some of the people who managed the school and teachers were Jesuits from Spain, fathers, and they ran, and for us it was like, we had a church in the school also attached to the school building. So there would be prayers, in the morning in the assembly, and then sometimes the prayers would come on the intercom from the Bible. So we were somehow or the other attracted to the Bible, to the teachings of Jesus. And then we went into the Bible page by page and read all the books of the the disciples of Jesus, John, Matthew, etc., Peter, all these different apostles, as they say. And then when we came to ISKCON, we found that, the ultimate goal is so much more information was provided to us, that the Lord has a form. Jesus Christ does describe my Father who art in heaven. So when he says Father, Prabhupada used to catch that word. Father means that Father has a form. So Christianity in its basics definitely is a basic Vaishnavism, undoubtedly. Just to make one point clear, from what we have heard and through our research, Jesus Christ was not a meat eater. That's a very important thing. And also we had heard that at a very young age, he had gone from the Mount of Olives, he disappeared for many years, I think about 12 years, and he went to Jagannath Puri. So there's been research on that. So again, and he used to also meditate. Jesus Christ used to meditate quite a bit, like on the Mount of Olives. So what is that meditation? Meditation is on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada coined this phrase, personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these books that I previously read, all of them mostly they were in English. I never came across such a phrase or a sentence, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is something very special that Prabhupada gave us, which is laying a stress that the Supreme Lord is a person. When Srila Prabhupada, the last Vyas Puja of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he composed the poem, Adore Rory all the happy days, sweeter than heaven, brighter than May, when he appeared in Puri, the holy place, my Lord and Master, his divine grace. And in the second last verse, Srila Prabhupada composes, he says, for his Guru Maharaj, absolute ascension, thou hast proved, impersonal calamity, thou hast moved. So he has proved, my Guru Maharaj, his Jayo Mishnupat Paramahansa Parivajagacharya Stotra Shata Shri Srimad Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, Prabhupada would say, proved that God is a person. Why do people think, the impersonalists think that he is impersonal? When Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to take a morning walk sometimes, and a Mayavadi sannyasi would see him, he would change his path. And supposing if he crossed him, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would encounter him and say, why you say that the Supreme Lord is impersonal? Why? And he would sometimes even shake him up. That was the, what is Rupa Goswami's pranam mantra? The last line. Rupa anuga viruddha apasiddhanta dvanta harine. And the last line, it's very long, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada's pranam mantra. So anything that is not in line with Rupa Goswami, apasiddhanta, it is apasiddhanta to consider that the Lord is impersonal. It is even an offense. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has declared that Mayavadi Bhashya Sunila Hoy Sarvanash. Anybody who listens to a Mayavadi commentary or Mayavadi lecture, somebody who thinks that they are one with the Lord and everything is at the end of the day, it's only energy. It's the undifferentiated Brahman. Sarvamidam Khalo Brahman. The way they translate it is everything is Brahman, nothing has a shape or a form. That's what they say. So it's apasiddhanta. So anything that the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that last line is, he would cut to pieces anybody who propagated the Mayavadi philosophy, anything that was against the pure Vaishnava principles of Rupa Goswami. That's what our Acharya is. That's what his Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada is. And that's what we all should be. We should bear that torch, of our predecessors and emphatically preach this. So Kardam Muni attained his success, and the Lord showed him his form. Very important. Personality of God, the form. And the impersonalist Prabhupada mentions in the purport recommend that arbitrarily one should concentrate on one's mind on some imaginary thing or an object. Draw a dot on the wall and concentrate your mind on that and just say, oh, and all these different, Prabhupada says this, rascal-like techniques. So the form which the Lord showed Kardam Muni by his mercy is described in the Vedic literature. In this particular verse, the word is known as Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma. What does that mean? That we can obtain, Brahma means spiritual knowledge, and Shabda means through proper sources. Through the bona fide sources, we can obtain spiritual knowledge. The Shastras describe there are three ways of obtaining knowledge. The first way is Pratyaksha. So Pratyaksha means Prati, Aksha. Aksha means our senses, or Aksha means our eyes. So anything that we can obtain with our senses, information, knowledge, that is called Pratyaksha Praman. But that is not so perfect. Very simple example, like supposing I take a book and you, Prabhuji, hold it there, far in the back. Can I read those words or letters? No, I cannot. So my eyes has a limitation. If I put the books right to my nose, will I be able to read any words? No, I will not be able to read anything. My eyes has a limitation. There is a certain distance that these eyes function. As an example, if there is a total outage or a blackout, electricity is gone completely, there's nothing, we cannot see each other. Does that mean that you don't exist, or you don't exist, or you don't exist, or these deities don't exist? So our eyes are dependent on a concomitant factor. That's what they are dependent on. So basically all our senses ultimately are imperfect. Ultimately, so through our imperfect senses, if we try to understand the perfect, it's not possible. That's why, Krishna is known as Adhokshaja. One of the names of Krishna is Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje. So Adhokshaja means one who cannot be perceived by our material senses. That is the meaning of Adhokshaja. Ja means Janma, Adhoksha, Aksha means senses, and Adhoksha means not through material senses. Not born out of material senses. That's the meaning of the word Adokshaja, one of the beautiful names of Krishna that Srimad Bhagavatam has addressed him as. So, first way is pratyaksha. Second way of obtaining knowledge is anuman. Anuman means hypothesis. So, a lot of the scientists nowadays, through hypothesis, through experimentation, they come to some conclusion, who gets some positive information. So that is why it is called an experiment. It is called anuman or hypothesis. A simple example of anuman would be, let's say you're sitting in your living room at the home, and you're the only one sitting at home, and suddenly you hear some noise coming from upstairs, from your bedroom. So the anuman or the hypothesis is, oh, it could be a thief who may have come through the window, or oh, it could be my pet who managed to make it to the bedroom upstairs. Hypothesis. So hypothesis also doesn't lead to perfect knowledge. Experimentation, you may not. So what is the most perfect way, as mentioned here by in this particular Shabdam Brahma? It's mentioned in this verse, meaning when we obtain knowledge through a perfect source. When we obtain knowledge through a perfect source, then it is called Shabda Brahma. So, for example, I'll take my own example, my practical experience. When me and my siblings, we were very young, our father introduced our grandfather on the wall because he had already passed away when my father was a child. But he had a picture that was given to him by his uncles, that this is your father. So we had a picture on the wall, and especially on special occasions like birthdays and Diwali, it is the custom that we bow down to all our elders. So we used to bow down to the picture of our grandfather and grandmother that was on the wall in our home. So we believe that that is my grandfather because it came from Shabda Praman, from the right source. My father gave us that information. Now, if I argue with my father and I say that seeing is believing, the first process, Pratyaksha Praman, I have not seen my grandfather, so he doesn't exist. How can you prove that? So then there's a problem. It is unfortunate that if I don't believe the right source, and it is unfortunate sometimes that we do not get information from a perfect source. Then the second example we can consider is I can take that picture from the wall and start going to all the elderly people in the neighborhood and say, my dear sir, do you know if this is my grandfather? My dear sir, and go from house to house. And perhaps some old person who lived that long would say, I think he is, but I'm not sure, my dear boy. So again, hypothesis also fails here. It is not perfect. But when somebody authoritative, like my father in this example, says that this is your grandfather, then it should be accepted. Like when Professor Sathers in 1926, I think, he met his Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Professor Sathers was from the Ohio State University, a professor in theism. And they had a wonderful dialogue. So he asked this question. I think he opened the dialogue with this question, that when you speak about the spiritual realm and all these personalities, meaning Krishna described, how do you know about all this? How do you know? Have you seen them? He took a very, very humble stance. Of course, he's seen them, but he did not tell Professor Sathers that he has seen them. He said, those who have visited that far transcendental realm or land, they have seen the Lord and the Lord's associates, and they are so kind that they come down and give us this information. It is unfortunate for those who do not want to believe in it. So that's how he answered that question. So the form is something that we learn. Like we sing this every day in the Shringara Arati. Venur Kwanantam Aravindam Dalayataksham Bharhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Viseshashubham Govindam Adi Purusham tamaham bhajami. Lord Brahma, the Chaturmukhi Brahma, the four-headed Brahma, has seen Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. When he meditated, Krishna showed him not only how to create the different material universes, but also he gave him that glimpse of Golok Vrindavan and himself and his associates. So, how beautiful! Venum Karantam. What is the form of Krishna? It's a form. The main subject matter is that Kardam Muni was meditating, but not on something void, on the form. Venum Karanda, he has a Venu in his beautiful hands. Arvinda Dalayataksha, his eyes are described like a lotus petal. Arvinda means lotus. Dala means petal. So his eyes are like the aksham. Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam. He's got a beautiful peacock feather that bedecks his head. And therefore he looks so beautiful. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. There's another verse also that I can probably recollect. Kasturi Tilakam Lalata Falke Vakshastale Kaustubham Nasagre Navamoktikam Kartale Venum Kare Kankanam Sarvange Harichandanam Sulalitam Kante Chamuktavali Gopastri Pariveshtito Vijayate Gopala Chudamani. So those who have seen the form of Krishna, Kasturi Tilakam. What is the tilak that Krishna wears? It is made of musk. Kasturi Tilakam. Lalata Falke. It's displayed so nicely on his forehead. Vakshasthale Kaustubham. And when they see Krishna, they see on his chest the Kaustubh mani. Vakshasthale Kaustubham. Nasagre Navamoktikam. What is there in his nose? There is a beautiful pearl nose ring. Kartale Venu. And in his hands there is the beautiful flute. Kantecha Muktavali. And he's got a pearl necklace on his chest. So we also find Satyavrat Muni describes that in the Damodara Ashtakam. What is that verse? Anybody recollects? Where he describes Sthita Graiva Damodar Bhakti Vaddam. That when Mother Yashoda was chastising him and he was simply puffing for air, the beautiful pearl necklace was shaking on his chest. And Graiva means the pearl necklace. So Sarvangi Hari Chandana, and he's anointed with Chandan, a beautiful sandalwood base. Su Lalitam Kantecha Muktavali, and in his kantha and his neck, there is again a beautiful necklace. Gopastri Pariveshtita Vijayate Gopala Chudamani. What does that mean? That he is surrounded by the gopis. Just like we find in so many different verses, Gopastri Pariveshtita Gopala Chudamani. The crest jewel of the cowherd boys is surrounded by the beautiful gopis. Even in the Brahma Samhita, we sing every day. What is that verse? Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamahame. What are those Lakshmis? In Golok, those Lakshmis are the gopis. So, one of the verses that attracted Sukdev Goswami. Sukdev Goswami, he ran away after he was born, and his father Vyasdev ran after him. He says, please stop. I still have to do sanskaras for you. I have not given you the proper initiations. The Brahminical is Yam Pravarjanta Manupeta Peta Krityam Dvaipa, Virakaja Rajava Putreti Tanmaya Taro Bunedus Tam Munimano Swasmi. And he echoed like that, but he kept on running without looking, and the trees echoed back. Come back, son, come back, son, come back, son. And when he went into the deep forest, there were some cowherd boys playing, and they uttered a couple excellent verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. And what was that? One of this verse was describing the beauty of Krishna, which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 21st, 10th canto, 21st chapter. Barapadam natavara Karanya Karikaram Bibradavasa Kanakapisam Vaijayantim Jamala Dhandaram Venu Radara Sudhapu Puryam Gopa Vrindai Vrindaranyam Swapada Ramanam Pravishad Gita Kirtihi. Wearing a peacock feather, ornament upon his head, blue Karnika flowers on his ears, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and the Vaijayanti garland, wildflowers. Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form. So important form. As the greatest of the dancers, Natwara Vapu, he entered into the forest of Vrindavan, beautifying it with the marks of his footprints. So something formless, can they have footprints? No. That's what we worship, the footprints. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. So this is the generally when I start my katha, I sing one prayer. It comes from an unknown source, but it is found on KK songs, Krishna conscious songs, and my Guru Maharaj used to sing it quite often. So it is right here. Navanirada nindita kanti dharam raso sagar nagar bhupavaram. Everybody can sing together. Shubhavanki macharu shikhanda shikhim bhaja krishna nidhim Rajasutam Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Vrajrajasutam. So like this, we don't have much time left, just 5 minutes. You can visit this song. And in here, it is mentioned that the beauty of the form of Krishna, that Navanira the Nindita Kanti Dharam, meaning his effulgence is like that of a freshly formed cloud. Navanira the Nindita Kanti Dharam. Rasasagar and Agara Bhupavaram, and he is full of rasa, laden with the mellows. As the actual translation, he whose complexion conquers that of a fresh rain cloud, who is the best king on paramours, the ocean of ecstatic mellows, whose crown is adorned with a lovely peacock feather and is auspiciously tilted to one side, just worship Krishna, the jewel, the son of Nanda Maharaj. So, like that we have. So, why it is so difficult? Here also we find the beautiful forms of Shri Radha, Vrindavan Chandra, Nitai Gaur Sundar, Gopal Nath Ji, Nrsimhadev Bhagavan, Prahlad Maharaj, Jagannath Baldev, Subhadra Maharani, Sudarshan Chakra. We find the forms of the six Goswami, we found the transcendental form of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Everything, is personality. Everything that we study under the proper tutelage of the pure Vaishnavas and the highly intellectual people, it's forms. And that's where and only we can serve a form. If we are in a Mayavadi mode, and if we are all equal, why I should serve you, why you should serve me, we are equal. Right? But here, if we are subservient, we are das, therefore we serve. Second point, if everything is formless, how can you serve something simple like a glass of water? Can you serve something formless, a glass of water? And out of service, can you derive some pleasure? You cannot. Right? You cannot derive. Bliss is only obtained when we perform seva. And seva can only be done to something that has a form or an entity that has a form. So it's so important. And one last point that I would like to make, that what is that form when we are, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is also a form. But we do not realize it. We do not realize it. Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Shastra says, Nama Chintamani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. So, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, Nam Chintamani, Nam is like a Kalpa Vriksha. Whatever you desire, you will get Chintamani. But also, it has been described, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Chaitanya means living. Chaitanya means one that has a living force. So the soul is the living force, undoubtedly. But further specified in this verse. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Vigraha. Vigraha means the form. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha. Form. So this is so important. Prabhupada harped time and again that Mayavadis, they don't have a form, but we have this so beautiful form that we can decorate. Every morning we sing in the Mangalarti. What is that verse? That the Guru Maharajas, the Gurus are decorating the Radha and Krishna. Shri Vigraha Aradhana, Dhananityanana, Shringar, Tan Mandir Marjanada. Yuktascha Bhaktascha Ninjotopi, Vande Guru Sri Chananda. So decorating the beautiful deities, he's teaching and engaging the devotees as well. So this is, only if there's a form you can do that. And ultimately what we will be doing, when we end up and we qualify in Golok Vrindavan, all we will do is serve the beautiful forms of Radha and Krishna and their associates. So thank you all very much. We, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If there's any questions or comments or any corrections, we still have about 3-4 minutes left. Please feel free to address them. So again, thank you for serving Srimad Bhagavatam by listening very patiently. So now at 9 a.m. in the door across from where I'm sitting on my left is the Prasadam hall. So please make sure you all take Prasadam. Oh, it's outside.
It's outside.
Okay, correction. That Prasadam will be served outside in the yard. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada Gurudev ki jai. Shri Prabhupada Gurudev ki jai.